As Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. Good day, everyone. I am Samson P. Pancho Jr., and today I will be discussing the historical context of the Philippine educational system. First and foremost, I would like to extend my warm greetings to our professor, Attorney Selwyn Prada. Education has always played a crucial role in shaping our society. But have you ever wondered how our educational system evolved through the years? How did it start? And what lessons can we learn from history to improve our education system today? To answer these questions, let's take a journey through time and explore the significant transformations of Philippine education. Let's start at the very beginning, the pre-Spanish period or before 1521. During the pre-Spanish period, education was informal, unstructured, and vocational. There were no formal schools, and learning took place within families and communities. Parents and tribal tutors like a babaylan were the main educators, passing down essential survival skills such as hunting, fishing, farming, and weaving. Children also learned about community values, traditions, and moral teachings through storytelling and daily experiences. Unlike today's formal system, early education was more practical than academic. Reading, writing, and arithmetic were not the focus. Instead, the priority was to prepare children for real life challenges within their community. Specifically, they aimed to instill reverence for the god Bathala, obedience to authority, loyalty to the family or clan, and respect for truth and righteousness. However, everything changed with the arrival of the Spaniards in 1521. During the Spanish colonization, education in the Philippines was primarily religious and focused on converting the indigenous population to Catholicism, with religious orders like the missionaries and friars playing a role in education and language instruction. Initially, it was reserved for the elite, but the Educational Decree of 1863 provided a more structured system by creating the Superior Commission of Primary Instruction, headed by a chairman. This decree mandated the establishment of primary schools for boys and girls in each town under government control. A normal school for male teachers was placed under the supervision of the Jesuits, and free primary education with compulsory Spanish language instruction was introduced. However, despite these reforms, education remained inadequate and highly controlled. Then came the revolutionary government, bringing another shift in education. During this period, schools established by the Spanish were temporarily closed but later reopened. The First Philippine Republic under Emilio Aguinaldo introduced efforts to make education more inclusive. Thus, the Malolos Constitution mandated free and compulsory elementary education. And important institutions were also founded that includes the Burgos Institute in Malolos that focused on higher learning, the Military Academy of Malolos that was established for military training, and the Literary University of the Philippines that aimed at academic excellence. And during this time, education was seen as a tool for nationalism and independence, moving away from Spanish influence. However, this initiative was short-lived due to the American occupation. However, with the arrival of the Americans, education took another turn in the years 1901 to 1942. Under American rule, a secularized and free public school system was established in the Philippines. The Sherman and Taft Commissions played crucial roles in emphasizing primary instruction and civic training. This led to the passage of Act No. 74 in 1901, which created a highly centralized public school system, resulting in the formation of the Department of Public Instruction. headed by a general superintendent. The act provided for free public schools where English was their medium of instruction, aiming to educate and assimilate Filipinos into American society. It also authorized the establishment of private schools, marking a significant shift from the previous Spanish colonial education system, which had religious instruction as a core component. The education system was structured into three levels. The first one is the elementary, comprising four primary years and three intermediate years. The second one is the secondary or high school that lasts up to 4 years. And the last one is college or the tertiary level. So it encompasses higher education institutions. And to support this educational reform, the American government sent 600 teachers, known as the Thomasites, to the Philippines in 1901. The Thomasites played a vital role in establishing the new public school system. Thus, in 1902, the Philippine Normal School or the PNS was established to train teachers, and it later evolved into the Philippine Normal University or the PNU. As a result of these reforms, education expanded significantly at all levels because in 1902, high schools, trade schools, and agricultural schools were established, like the Philippine Agricultural Schools, which was later known as the University of Philippines Los Baños. And by 1908, the University of the Philippines was founded through the Act number 1870. And in the year 1916, Jones Law or the Organic Act reorganized the education system and mandated the Filipinization of all department secretaries, with the exception of the Secretary of Public Instruction. However, World War II brought drastic changes under Japanese rule in the years 1942 to 1945. During the Japanese occupation from 1942 to 1945, education in the Philippines underwent significant changes aimed at promoting the greatest East Asia co-prosperity sphere. The focus was on teaching the Japanese language, vocational skills, and fostering a love for labor, while also striving to eliminate Western influences and uplift Filipino morals. And the education system was restructured under Military Order Number 2 in 1942, which created the Commission of Education, Health, and Public Welfare. This commission was led by a commissioner under the Japanese Executive Commission. So the new system emphasized the teaching of Tagalog, Philippine history, and character education, aiming to instill values such as love for work and the dignity of labor. So there were schools that are reopened in June 1942 and in 1943. So the Ministry of Education was established under the Japanese-sponsored republic to oversee the educational reforms. So notably, in 1944, the department was briefly renamed back to the Department of Public Instruction, reflecting on the ongoing evolution of the education system during this tumultuous period. After the World War II, significant changes in education continued because during the post-independence era, in the years of 1947 to 1975, the Philippines underwent significant changes in its education system because in 1945, the Department of Public Instruction and Information was established under the Commonwealth government to oversee the rebuilding of schools and the education sector. And by 1946, this department was renamed into the Department of Instruction, reflecting the government's efforts to reorganize and strengthen the system. And in 1947, Executive Order 94 officially changed its name to the Department of Education or DepEd, now headed by a secretary to ensure proper regulation and standardization. The Bureau of Public and Private Schools was created to oversee both public and private institutions nationwide. And these reforms marked the beginning of a new era in the Philippine education, emphasizing the importance of a structured and well-regulated educational framework. Now, let's move on as the Marcos era brought further significant changes in education. Because in the years 1972 to 1986, with the declaration of martial law, the education system underwent significant restructuring to align with the government's agenda of centralization and cultural integration. So under Proclamation number 1081, the Department of Education was renamed into Department of Education and Culture, emphasizing national identity and discipline in schools. However, in 1978, the Presidential Decree number 1397 converted the department into the Ministry of Education and Culture, marking a shift to a parliamentary style government where agencies were reorganized into ministries. And as a result, the head of the department was now referred to as a minister instead of a secretary. Moreover, the Education Act of 1982 introduced further reforms by expanding the role of private institutions and decentralizing authority, leading to another renaming. So, the Ministry of Education, Culture, and Sports, or MEX. This change reflected a more holistic approach to education, integrating culture and sports as essential elements of national development. Now, let's move on after the former President Ferdinand Marcos Sr. was ousted. So, the post-EDSA revolution marked another transformation in education. In the years 1987 to 2001, which was or after the 1986 People Power Revolution, the education system underwent another reorganization to address the changing needs of the country. And as part of these changes, in 1987, Executive Order number 117 renamed the Ministry of Education, Culture and Sports, or MEX, into the Department of Education, Culture and Sports, or DECS, so restoring a more traditional departmental structure. And in the following years, a major reform took place with the trifocalization of education in 1994 to 1995. So this initiative aimed to improve efficiency and specialization by dividing responsibilities among three key agencies. The first agency is Commission on Higher Education or CHED, which was created under Republic Act number 7722 to oversee tertiary education. And then another one is the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority or the TESDA, which was established through Republic Act number 7796 to manage vocational and technical education. And lastly, the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports or DECS, which remained responsible for basic education. And through this reform, the government ensured a more focused approach to different educational levels that allows for better governance and the continued development of each sector. Finally, let's move on to the modern era, starting from the year 2001 up to the present. With the 21st century came another major reform in education. So, what are these reforms? In 2001, Republic Act number 9155 transformed the Department of Education, Culture and Sports or DSCS into the Department of Education or DepEd, which is the current name of the department, shifting the focus towards school-based management and leadership empowerment. This reform aimed to decentralize decision-making, granting schools greater autonomy in managing resources and implementing policies. So DepEd now oversees elementary, secondary, and non-formal education, including the Alternative Learning System or ALS, which provides flexible education for out of school youth and adult learners. Moreover, subsequent reforms continued to reshape Philippine education. So let's start in the year 2013. So the Enhanced Basic Education Act, or RA 10533, introduced the K-12 program, extending the basic education to 12 years to align with international standards and improve students' global competitiveness. And in the year 2017, the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act, or RA 10931, mandated free tuition in state universities and colleges, expanding access to higher education for Filipino students. And lastly, in the year 2023, the DepEd launched the Matatag curriculum. It is a revised K-12 framework that streamlined learning areas and emphasized Filipino identity, nationalism, and foundational skills in literacy, numeracy, and socio-emotional learning. These reforms highlight the continuous evolution of the Philippine education system, aiming to provide quality, inclusive, and globally competitive learning opportunities for all. Before we end, let's reflect on what we've learned. So, the Philippine education system has undergone significant transformations shaped by historical, political, and cultural shifts from informal tribal education to a structured, secular, and globally competitive system. And these changes reflect the nation's ongoing pursuit of quality education for all. And as we conclude, this topic raises important questions such as what lessons can we learn from history to improve our education system today? And in answering this question, I believe that lessons learned from history emphasize the importance of adaptability and resilience in education because by understanding the past challenges and successes, we can create a more responsive education system that addresses current needs while preparing for future demands. And now, let's move on to the next question. The next question is, how will the next generation shape the future of Philippine education? So, as I reflect on this question, I believe the next generation can shape the future of Philippine education by advocating for innovative teaching methods, embracing technology, and promoting inclusivity. Because I know that they have the power, or we have the power, to take an active role in community-based education initiatives and push for policies that support equitable access to quality educations. Because I also believe that education continues to evolve and it is up to us to ensure it remains inclusive, relevant, and transformative. So that's it. This concludes my presentation. Once again, I am Samson P. Pancho Jr. Thank you and have a great day.